Global 9. We are back in the Middle Ages. Hope everyone is still doing well. Today we are taking a closer look at feudalism. So you guys did a great job yesterday going through that little intro. Today we're going to kind of explore it a little bit more, get into some of the nitty-gritty of it, and talk about the economic system of the Middle Ages as well. Super important. Again, if you have any questions, please be sure to email us right here. There are no notes per se to go with this, so just watch the video for now, and then I will tell you what the activity is at the end. But for now, it's just kind of an explanation about feudalism, kind of just a chat, like we would if we were in the classroom together. So, what is it? Well, basically, guys, feudalism is like the political system where land is exchanged for military service, loyalty, and other services. So this will also become the dominant social system in medieval Europe. So we had talked about a lot of social systems before. Remember all the pyramids we talked about? I think most of us remember Egypt specifically, how you have the super powerful right here, and then you lose power even though you're gaining population as you go down. It's going to be that same concept in Western Europe during the Middle Ages. Basically, they come up with this plan of exchanging protection for loyalty among these classes. And that's called feudalism. So at first, it's like this political system where, all right, I'm going to be in charge, and I'll give you parts of my land if you promise to protect me. But that also becomes a social system because the person on top who has all the land is obviously going to have all the power, all the wealth, all the prestige. All right, now, if you look up feudalism, Middle Ages feudalism, Western Europe feudalism, you are going to get a lot of images. And honestly, I have to say, I love them all because they all really portray feudalism in its own way, and they're all correct. So for instance, here you'll see church, monarchy, lords and nobles, knights and vassals, craftsmen, merchants and farmers, peasants and serfs. That's like very, how do I say? It has a lot of classes in this one. Even though that's right, we can kind of go a little bit more simpler.
Feudalism.
So if you want to look here, right, this one only has 4 in the pyramid, but I love this one because it actually tells you what they're exchanging. So let's take a look here. We can see when we go down this pyramid, what the higher classes are giving the lower classes almost always is going to be land, right? So the king is going to give their land to the nobles. The nobles is going to give their land to the knights. The knights are going to give land and protection to the peasants. We'll get to this in a little bit. If you're going up the pyramid, you can see that each class has something unique to give to the higher up. So the peasants, you can see, look, they're all farmers, right? They're going to give food and services to the knights. The knights, you can tell what they're going to do. They're going to protect and give military service to the nobles. And the nobles are going to take some of their money and their knights' loyalty to the king. The nobles are going to say, listen, Mr. King, we're going to protect you with our knights, so long as you keep giving us land. Right? And we're going to talk about this in a second. So let's go back to this video. We're just going to watch a part of it. I think the video kind of...
Feudalism is a term invented in the...
Sorry, guys. I think the video kind of animates what this is all about. If you want to watch the whole video, be my guest. It's attached to the PowerPoint.
Feudalism is a term invented in the 19th century to describe how society was structured during the High Middle Ages. That's between 1000 and 1300 AD. The feudal system was based on the exchange of land and services. Under the feudal system, all the land in the kingdom belonged to the king. He would then parcel out large estates to great lords known as tenants-in-chief in exchange for their military and political support. These great lords then parceled out smaller portions of the land to lesser lords on similar terms, who did the same to local lords, who did the same to peasants. The feudal system had its own vocabulary. A king or lord who gave land to a lesser lord became the latter's overlord. The person receiving the land became the vassal of the person who granted it. and the land itself was called a fief. A vassal was not necessarily a minor figure. Everyone in the feudal system below the king was a vassal, even the greatest lords in the land. Even the King of England was a vassal to the King of France for the land he had inherited there. By the later Middle Ages, though, feudalism had largely disappeared.
And that's where we're going to stop, because right now we're going to talk about when feudalism is thriving. I know, guys, there's a lot of vocab being thrown at you. Don't worry. We're spending the rest of the week on feudalism, and we're going to have a little vocab exercise on Friday. So don't panic. We're going to get through it. You have all of these references at your disposal to use if you're just ever confused on a word. And remember, you can always email us. I'm not going to lie to you, friends. This chart is a little tricky. It took me a couple tries to get the hang of it, but now that I know the secret, I can give you the secret. And the secret of this chart is it's color-coded. So anything you see with blue is the king action. Anything with red is going to be upper lords, green lower lords, purple knights, and of course the black is the peasants and the serfs. So this is saying that the knights, right, are going to get the crops and labor from their peasants and serfs, right? The lower lords are going to get their money and military service from the knights. The upper lords, money and military service from lower lords, and kings, money, military service, advice from the upper lords. And basically, if you go on the other side, it shows what each one gives to the lower class. So this one is going what they get from the classes, what they give to the classes. Take a look at it, study it, you're good to go. And this is my last chart I'm going to show you. But again, I love the images. I think that helps us to remember. And the arrows, I love how all these charts are set up. Again, here are our peasants or serfs. And you see in the black arrows going up what they're giving to the class right above them, to the knights, which are considered vassals to lords. They're paying rent to them. They're farming the land for them. The knights are then going to give loyalty and military service to the lords, who are vassals to the king. They're going to give loyalty and military aid and advice to the king, right? The king, if we go back down, is giving fief and peasants to the lords, right? So land and workers for the land to the lords. Going back down, protection to the knights, shelter for the knights, food for the knights. And then the knights are going to give food, protection, and shelter for the peasants. So I feel like when you look at all these different images, you really finally get a grasp of what feudalism is. And I think that's the most important thing for these concepts, because they're so long ago and they can be hard for us to get. Always look for images, drawings, graphs, anything like that really helps. All right, we've talked enough about the social structure. Let's talk a little bit about the economic structure. If we're talking about economics, we got to talk about money. So how the money thing work during feudalism, during this time in the Middle Ages? Well, basically, just what you think. They're profiting from the land. Now, this big land, this whole thing that the king owns, sometimes it's called an estate, and sometimes it's called a manor. And that is why, overall, the economic system is going to be called, look, manor realism, right? Manorialism. The word manor is right in there. So always keep in mind, manor is referring to all of this land and how these people right here, these peasants, they're farming the land, hence the agriculture. All right, another example. Anytime you see a picture like this, know that it's the economic system they're talking about. It's the manor, right, or the estate. And this is an example of what it would look like. Here's the Lord's castle. Wouldn't that be nice? I would love to live in a house like that. This is, if you're going to be quarantined, this is the place to do it. Look at, no one's around you. You have your own little moat. You can just come on out here. You can pick all the fruits and veggies you want. Although, honestly, you get people to do that for you. Here you have the serfs, homes, the village. We are going to talk about this building right here in a little bit. That's going to be your church. And again, I want you to stress, when you see these two pictures, one of them is always talking about the social, political, and the other is always talking about economic. Right here, if you see these, like, social pyramid, obviously it's going to be a social structure. It's feudalism. If you see a picture of the land, here it is, right here, a medieval manor, it's manualism. All right, that's our economics. Okay, I hope that wasn't too confusing. If it is, please feel free to email me. what you are now going to do is you are going to complete a reading and answer accompanying questions. Now, the reading is a little intense looking, so if you would like to have it read to you and maybe explained in a little bit more detail, you're going to click the link here. So if we go here, you'll see everything is also on my e-board. Here is the reading, which I already have up, with the questions. And if you would like to hear me read it, you can click right here. Hello again, my Global 9 students. Ooh, it's like a Miss H Inception. Listen, friends, you do not have to watch that video. If you're tired of hearing my voice, I totally understand. No need to. It's not necessary. But please, please, please do answer these questions. It's really important to help you understand what was happening back in the Middle Ages. And that's all I got for you today. So if anyone has any questions, you always email us. Here, I'm going to end right here back on our emails. All right, guys, hope you understand. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I am, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.